Hello, everybody. Welcome to TRP, the Random Podcast, with me, Saurabh Saneja. This is the book reading series of TRP, and currently we are reading the book The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin S. Sharma. So, let's continue with from where we left off previously. So, there we were talking about the practice of getting those particular details. So, mastering a technique, and he was interested to tell me more. Alright, so all that you need to perform this exercise is a fresh rose and a silent place. Natural surroundings are best, but a quiet room will also do nicely. Start to stare at the center of the rose, its heart. Yogi Raman told me that a rose is very much like life. You will meet thorns along the way, but if you have faith and believe in your dreams, you will eventually move beyond the thorns into the glory of the flower. Keep staring at the rose. Notice its color, texture, and design. Savor its fragrance and think only about this wonderful object in front of you. At first, other thoughts will start entering your mind, distracting you from the heart of the rose. This is the mark of an untrained mind, but you need not worry. Improvement will come quickly. Simply return your attention to the object of your focus. Soon your mind will grow strong and disciplined. That's all there is to it. It sounds pretty easy. That is the beauty of it, John, Gillian replied. However, this ritual must be performed daily for it to be effective. For the first few days, you will find it difficult to spend even 5 minutes in this exercise. Most of us live at such a frenetic pace that true stillness and silence is something foreign and uncomfortable. Most people hearing my words will say that they have no time to sit and stare at a flower. These are the same people who will tell you that they have no time to enjoy the laughter of children or to walk barefoot in the rain. These people say they are too busy to do such things. They don't even have time to build friendships, for friendships also take time. You know a lot about such people? I was one of them, said Julian. He then paused and sat still. His intense gaze riveted on the grandfather clock that my grandmother had given Jenny, and I as a housewarming present. When I think of those who live their lives this way, I remember the words of an old British novelist whose work my father loved to read. One must not allow the clock and the calendar to blind him to the fact that each moment of life is a miracle and a mystery. Persist and spend longer and longer periods savoring the heart of the rose, Julian continued in his throaty tone. After a week or two, you should be able to perform the technique for 20 minutes without your mind wandering into other subjects. This will be your first indication that you are taking back control of the fortress of your mind. It will then focus only on what you command it to focus on. It will then be a wonderful servant, able to do extraordinary things for you. Remember, either you control your mind or it controls you. Practically speaking, you will notice that you will feel far calmer. You will have taken a significant step towards erasing the worry habit that plagues most of the population, and you will enjoy more energy and optimism. Most importantly, you will also observe a sense of joyfulness entering your life along with an ability to appreciate the many gifts that surround you. Each day, no matter how busy you get and how many challenges you might face, return to the heart of the rose. It is your oasis. It is your silent retreat. It is your island of peace. Never forget that there is a power in silence and stillness. Stillness is the stepping stone to connecting with the universal source of intelligence that throbs through every living thing. I was fascinated by what I had heard. Could it really be possible to profoundly improve the quality of my life with such a simple strategy? There must be more to the dramatic changes I see in you than Heart of the Rose, I wondered aloud. Yes, that is true. This is true. In fact, my transformation came about as a result of using a number of highly effective strategies in concert. Don't worry. They all are just as simple as the exercise I have just shared with you, and equally as wonderful. The key for you, John, is to open your mind to your potential for living a life rich with possibilities. Julian, ever the fountain of knowledge continued to reveal what he had learned in Shivana. Another particularly good technique for ridding the mind of worry and other negative life-draining influences is based on what Yogi Raman called opposition thinking. I learned that under the grand laws of nature, the mind can only hold one thought at any one time. Try it yourself, John. You will see it is true. I did try it and it is true. Using this little known information, anyone can easily create a positive, creative mindset within a short period. The process is straightforward. When an undesirable thought occupies the focal point of your mind, immediately replace it with a uplifting one. It's as if your mind is a giant slide projector, with every thought in your mind being a slide. Whenever a negative slide comes up on the screen, take swift action to replace it with the positive one. This is where the prayer beads around my neck come in. Julian added with rising enthusiasm. Every time I catch myself thinking a negative thought, I take this necklace off and remove another bead. These beads of worry go into a cup I keep in my knapsack. Together, they serve as gentle reminders that I still have a distance to travel on the roads to mental mastery and responsibility over the thoughts that fill my mind. Hey, that's a great one. This is really practical stuff. I've never heard anything quite like it. Tell me more about this philosophy of opposition thinking. Here's a real life example. Let's say you have had a tough day in court. The judge disagreed with your interpretation of the law. The litigator on the other side belonged in a cage, and your client was more than a little annoyed with your performance. You come home and fall into your favorite chair full of gloom. Step 1 is to become aware that you are thinking these uninspiring thoughts. Self-knowledge is the stepping stone to self-mastery. Step 2 is to appreciate once and for all that just as easily as you allowed those gloomy thoughts to enter, you can replace them with cheerful ones. So think of the opposite of gloom. Concentrate on being cheerful and energetic. Feel that you are happy. Perhaps you might even start to smile. Move your body as you do when you are joyful and full of enthusiasm. Sit up straight, breathe deeply, and train the power of your mind on positive thoughts. You will notice a remarkable difference in the way you feel within minutes. Even more importantly, if you keep up your practice of opposition thinking, applying it to every negative thought that habitually visits your mind, within weeks you will see that they no longer hold any power. Do you see what I am getting at? Julian continued his explanation. Thoughts are vital, living things, little bundles of energy, if you will. Most people don't give any thought to the nature of their thoughts, and yet the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. Thoughts are just as much a part of the material world as as the lake you swim in or the street you walk on. Weak minds lead to weak actions. A strong, disciplined mind, which anyone can cultivate through daily practice, can achieve miracles. If you want to live life to the fullest, care for your thoughts as you would your most prized possessions. Work hard to remove all inner turbulence. The rewards will be abundant. I never saw thoughts as living things, Julian, I replied, amazed at this discovery. But I can see how they influence every element of my world. The sages of Sivana firmly believe that one should only think sattvic or pure thoughts. They arrived at such a state through the techniques I have just shared with you, along with other practices such as the natural diet, the repetition of positive affirmations, or mantras, as they call them. Reading books rich with the wisdom and by constantly ensuring that their company was enlightened. If even one impure thought entered the temple of their minds, they would punish themselves by traveling many miles to an imposing waterfall and standing under the ice-cold water until they could no longer bear the frigid temperature. I thought you told me these sages were wise, standing under an ice-cold waterfall deep in the Himalayas mountains, for thinking one little negative thought strikes me an extreme behavior. And Julian was lightning fast in his response, the result of his many years as a world-class legal warrior. John, I'll be blunt. You truly cannot afford the luxury of even one negative thought. Really, really. A worrisome thought is like an embryo. It starts off small but grows and grows. Soon it takes off a life of its own. Julian stopped for a moment and then smiled. Sorry if I seem a little evangelistic when I speak on this subject, on the philosophy I learned on my journey. It's just that I have discovered tools that can improve the lives of many people, people who feel unfulfilled, uninspired, and unhappy. A few adjustments in their daily routines to include the heart of the rose technique and a constant application of opposition thinking will give them the lives they want. I think they deserve to know this. Before I move from the garden to the next element of Yogi Raman's mystical fable, I must let you know of one more secret, which will offer you great aid in your personal growth. This secret is based on the ancient principle that everything is always created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. I've shared already that thoughts are things, material messengers that we send out to influence our physical world. I've also informed you that if you hope to make remarkable improvements in your outer world, you must first start within the change, the caliber of your thoughts. The sages of Sivana had a wonderful way to ensure that their thoughts were pure and wholesome. This technique was also highly effective in manifesting their desires, however simple, into reality. The method will work for anyone. It will work for a younger lawyer who seeks financial abundance, just as it will work for a mother seeking a richer family life or a salesperson seeking up to close more sales. The technique was known to the sages as the secret of the lake. To apply it, these teachers would rise at 4 a.m. as they felt that the early morning possessed magical qualities from which they could benefit. The sages would then travel along a series of steep and narrow mountain paths, which eventually led them to the lower reaches of the region they inhabited. Once there, they would walk along a barely visible trail lined with magnificent pine trees and exotic flowers until they arrived at a clearing. At the edge of the clearing was an aqua blue lake covered by thousands of tiny white lotuses. The water of the lake was strikingly still and calm. It was truly a miraculous sight. The sages told me that this lake had been a friend to their ancestors over the ages. What was the secret of the lake? I asked impatiently. Julian explained that the sages would look into the waters of the still lake and envision their dreams becoming reality. If it was the virtue of discipline they wished to cultivate within their lives, they would picture themselves getting up at dawn, performing their rigorous physical regime without fail, and spending days in silence to enhance their willpower. If it was more joy they were seeking, they would look into the lake and envision themselves laughing uncontrollably, or smiling each time they met one of their brothers or sisters. If it was courage they desired, they would picture themselves acting with strength in the moment of crisis and challenge. Yogi Raman once told me that as a boy he lacked confidence, as he was smaller than the other boys his age. While they were kind and gentle to him, given their environmental influences, he grew insecure and shy. To cure his weakness, Yogi Raman would travel to this heavenly spot and use the lake as a picture screen for images of a person he hoped to be. Some days he would visualize himself as a strong leader, standing tall and speaking with a powerful, commanding voice. Other days he would see himself as he wished to be when he grows older, a wise sage, filled with tremendous inner strength and character. All the virtues he wished to have in his life he saw first on the surface of the lake. Within a matter of months, Yogiraman became the person whom he mentally saw himself becoming. You see, John, the mind works through pictures. Pictures affect your self-image, and your self-image affects the way you feel, act, and achieve. If your self-image tells you that you are too young to be a successful lawyer or too old to change your habits for the better, you will never achieve these goals. If your self-image tells you that lives rich, with purpose, excellent health and happiness are only for people from backgrounds other than your own, this prophecy will ultimately become your reality. But when you run inspiring, imaginative pictures through the movie screen of your mind, wonderful things start to happen in your life. Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. You must spend some time every day, even if it is just a few minutes, in the practice of creating and visioning. See yourself as you want to be, whether this means serving as a great judge, a great father, or a great citizen of your community. Do I have to find a special lake to apply the secret of the lake? I asked innocently. No, the secret of the lake was simply the sage's name of the ageless technique of using positive image to influence the mind. You can practice this method in your own living room or even at the office if you really want to. Shut your door, hold all calls and close your eyes. Then take a few deep breaths. You'll notice that there are 2 or 3 minutes you will start to feel relaxed. Next, visualize mental pictures of all that you want to be, to have, and to attain in your life. If you want to be the world's best father, envision yourself laughing and playing with your kids, responding to their questions with an open heart. Picture yourself acting gracefully and loving in a tense situation. Mentally rehearse the way you will govern your actions when a similar scene unfolds on the canvas of reality. The magic of visualization can be applied to so many situations. You can use it to be more effective in court, to enhance your relationships, and to develop yourself spiritually. Consistent use of this method will also bring you financial rewards, along with an abundance of material gain. If this is important to you, understand once for and for all that your mind has magnetic powers to attract all that you desire into your life. If there is a lack in your life, it is because there is lack in your thoughts. Hold wonderful pictures in your mind's eye. Even one negative image is poisonous to your mindset. Once you start to experience the joy this ancient technique brings, you will realize the infinite potential of your mind and begin to liberate the storehouse of ability and energy that currently sleeps within you. It was as if Julian was speaking a foreign tongue. I have never heard anyone speak of the magnetic powers of the mind to attract spiritual and material abundance. Nor had I ever heard anyone speak of the power of imaging and its profound effects on every aspect of one's world. Yet, deep inside, I had faith in what Julian was saying. This was a man whose judgment and intellectual abilities were impeccable. This was the man who was internationally respected for his legal acumen. This was a man who had walked down the path I was now journeying along. Julian had found something on his odyssey to the east. That much was clear. Looking at his physical vitality, his obvious tranquility, seeing his transformation confirmed that I would be wise to listen to his advice. The more I thought about what I was hearing, the more sense it made. Surely the mind must have a great deal more potential than most of us are currently using. How else could mothers lift otherwise immovable cars to save their crying infants who had fallen underneath? How else could martial artists break stacks of bricks with one fell swoop of their hands? How else could the yogis of the East slow down their heartbeats at will or endure tremendous pain without blinking an eye? Maybe the real problem was within me and my lack of belief in the gifts that every being possesses. Perhaps this evening, sitting alongside a former millionaire lawyer turned monk of the Himalayas, was a sort of wake-up call for me to start making the most of my life. But doing these exercises at the office, Julian, I responded. My partners think I am strange enough as it is. Yogi Raman and all kind sages with whom he lived often used a saying that had been passed on to them through the generations. It is my privilege to pass it on to you on what has become an important evening for both of us, if I may say so. The words are as follows. There is nothing noble about being superior to some other person. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self. All I'm really getting at is that if you want to improve your life and live with all that you deserve, you must run your own race. It doesn't matter what other people say about you. What is important is what you say to yourself. Do not be concerned with the judgment of others as long as you know what you are doing is right. You can do whatever you want to do as long as it is correct, according to your conscience and your heart. Never be ashamed of doing that which is right. Decide on what you think is good and then stick to it. And for God's sake, never get into the petty habit of measuring your self-worth against other people's net worth. As Yogi Raman preached, every second you spend thinking about someone else's dream, you take time away from your own. It was now 7 minutes past midnight. Remarkably, I didn't feel the least bit tired. When I shared this with Julian, he smiled once again. You have learned yet another principle of enlightened living. For the most part, fatigue is a creation of the mind. Fatigue dominates the lives of those who are living without direction and dreams. Let me give you an example. Have you ever had an afternoon at the office where you were reading your dry case reports and your mind started to wander and you started to feel sleepy? From time to time, I answered, not wishing to reveal the fact that this was my modus operandi. Sure, most of us feel drowsy at work on a regular basis, yet if a friend calls on the phone to ask if you want to go out and to the ball game that night or ask you for advice on his golf game, I have no doubt that you would spring to life. Every trace of your fatigue would vanish. Is that a fair assessment? That's fair, counselor. Gillian knew he was on a roll. So your tiredness was nothing more than a mental creation, a bad habit your mind has cultivated to act as a crutch when you are performing a tedious task. Tonight you are obviously enchanted with my story and keen to learn the wisdom that has been revealed to me. Your interest and mental focus give you energy. This evening, your mind has not been in the past, nor has it been in the future. It has been squarely focused on the present, on our conversation. When you consistently direct your mind to live in the present, you will always have boundless energy, no matter what time the clock reflects. I nodded my head in agreement. Gillian's wisdom seemed so obvious, and yet so much of it had never occurred to me. I guess common sense is not always so common. I thought about what my father used to tell me when I was growing up. Only those who seek shall find. I wished he was with me. So here's a summary. Chapter 7 Action Summary, Julian's Wisdom in a Nutshell. The symbol, the virtue, master your mind. The wisdom, cultivate your mind. It will blossom beyond your expectation. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. There is no mistake, only lessons. See setbacks as opportunities for personal expansion and spiritual growth. The techniques, the heart of the rose, the opposition thinking, the secret of the lake. Now, quotable quote that is there. The secret of happiness is simple. Find out what you truly love to do and then direct all your energy towards doing it. Once you do this, abundance flows into your life and all your desires are filled with ease and grace. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, 1997, Robin S. Sharma. So, that's the end of this chapter. I hope you liked this episode of TRP, the Random Podcast. Please tell me your thoughts about this in the comments. Do like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye bye, take care, be healthy, and be safe. Thank you.